Hey, everybody. So great to see you. And I am so excited about this segment. Dr. Clinton DeMaris, actually himself a master BioStacking doctor from Frisco, Texas. We have been colleagues for many, many years. Super excited about him not just being a forgotten formula PMA sponsor, which is his brainchild, him and his team, which you're going to hear about, you're going to love, and you go, that is so cool. I'm in by the time we are done here. But we look forward to him maybe being one of our speakers in the future and future summits because he has got a wealth of information. He has evolved some of the techniques that you have seen people talk about. He has been an instructor of many of them. He has done so many things in the space, and we can take up all this time talking about his well within clinic and his offices that he's had and doctors he's trained around the country. However, we want to focus today on what we call, and he calls, forgotten formulas PMA. So there's two parts there: forgotten formulas, which we will hear about a couple of them, and he will hint, hint, hint about some others that when you become a PMA member, which I highly recommend, that you will learn more about those things because you're going to want to. And we're going to hear about the greatest idea that, why didn't everyone else do this before PMA? I can't believe it's that simple. So we're going to ask him, he's going to explain it, and I'm going to say, okay, explain it again, because there's no way it's that simple, but it is that simple. So Doc, you have an amazing story. You have an amazing family, not only great waiting list practice at Well Within in Frisco, Texas, but 7 kids at home. Yeah. So you, mainly your wife, is super busy. So she's amazing. So talk to us. Give us the story. How did we get here?
Well, thanks for having me on here. I mean, it's great to talk to you again. Yeah, we're excited. We're brand new. We're just launching right now, and it's exciting time. The PMA, what a private membership agreement is and what it allows us to do is very basically and simply, it allows us to make bold claims and literally do treatments that are outside of our scope of practice or that are in that quasi space. And we were chatting a little earlier, and the analogy I like to use is we're like, some of these doctors out there are amazing. And you've met them, you know them. They're on this summit right now. Some of these guys are geniuses, but we're hamstrung. You can't do everything that you want to do. I mean, even on this video right now, I have to be careful what I claim and what I say because the government doesn't allow you to do it, right? And so you're kind of like a Ferrari that has a governor on it. You can only go 65 miles an hour. You get going, it slows you down, right? You're going, oh, this product does all this stuff, and it actually, but I can't tell you that either, right? Like they got to be careful what you claim, what you do, and the treatments that you're allowed to do. And so a private membership agreement codifies what we already know as Americans in the First and 14th Amendment. So I'll give you an example of private versus public. Don't want to take too long on this, but everybody knows this. Let's say you went out to some land that you own, and you got a kid, he's 10 years old, he wants to drive your truck. Can you drive a truck on your own land without a license? And the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. That kid can drive on there. No, the cops cannot write you a ticket. Now, if he drives out on the road, you're in public space, you can get a ticket, right? If you got a cow and you milk that cow, drink the raw milk, that's fine. If you decide to sell that raw milk to somebody else, whoa. You can't do that. It's gotta be pasteurized, homogenized. You got to go through all these things. So that's a problem. So public space, private space, very, very different. I can make a bet with you on a football game. That's fine. If I started a gambling operation in my office, significant problem. So this literally just codifies those private rights into an actual organization and agreement. Now, the cool thing is these guys, Pro Advocacy Group that we work with, they've done this for 50 years. And they've never lost a court case. In fact, I got the binder right here. It's this fat of every court case they've ever had. Never lost a case, gone to the Supreme Court like a dozen times, never lost. So this is absolutely awesome. You get protection. It allows you to make claims. It actually allows you to be honest, open with your patients about what they should and should not do. So we're excited to offer this protection to people. The best part is it costs $10 for a lifetime membership. If you're a doctor, you can talk to us and we can set your whole entire clinic up and protect you and your patients. and really, just like I said, take the governor off and let you really rock and roll and do what you really know you can and should be doing.
So you got these great formulas. So forgotten formulas,
Yeah.
so in and of themselves, they're amazing. And we definitely want to hear about them now because everyone's looking for things to break through here. The people that are on this BioStacking Summit is like, listen, I've been a lot of things. I've tried a lot of stuff. I may even tried some of your other products you talked about. But what I loved here is that you got some things that people have heard of, but you have it in a next level way in preparation. And it's not without tons of trial and error, tons of research, tons of like doctor colleagues bouncing off, make sure they're duplicating the things. And you have some forgotten formulas that we can't talk freely about, but we'll talk quickly for until you're a PMA member. And then you hear Dr. Clint talk about them all in depth and all the things that they do, which we'd like to talk about today. But let's talk about, there's two that you mentioned. One is your methylene blue, and another one is your patented iodine. So these things are things that people think they know a little bit about, but they don't know everything that you know. So can you share with us some of the stories you're telling me are just next level? And also, what's different? People are going to ask, okay, methylene blue, what's different about what Dr. Clint has? And iodine, I can't take that because I have this, or I take that, but, it's not doing what they say it's going to do. What's different about, let's just focus on those two, because again, we can spend an hour, but let's focus on those two.
No, absolutely. We got other things. If you join, we can talk about some other products and some other treatments and stuff more openly. But the iodine, I'll start with the iodine.
Okay.
I was trained originally that if you have Hashimoto's, now I'm not sure how many people on this forum or summit have an autoimmunity, but it's going to be a lot. And I'm sure a lot of the doctors out there right now that are in the functional space are figuring this out. People come into the office, they're kind of tired, and the doc may have even found a thyroid problem, but they didn't find out why they have a thyroid problem. When they figured they got autoimmunity, I was always trained, you do not give iodine to anybody who has autoimmunity because it will make them feel worse. And I found out clinically, it's true. Every single person that I gave potassium iodide to felt worse. They might have had a few days where they felt good. Like, man, I cleaned the garage, it felt amazing the next day. But I was like, how'd you feel after that? And then I totally crashed, felt terrible. So iodine is needed to make all thyroid hormones. Iodine is, here's the big one. According to the World Health Organization, you can literally Google this. The number one mineral deficiency in the world is iodine. And it is the number one reason for neurodevelopmental delays. So handicaps, mental retardation is because of an iodine deficiency. And we're talking in some countries, it's over 75% of the people are deficient.
Wow.
So what's the deal? If you can't take the potassium iodide, but you need it, what do you do? So this is where we enter in nascent iodine. Now, this is just one of my tester bottles. This isn't what our product actually looks like, but nascent iodine. This product has a patent. And if you guys are familiar with patents and nutritional products, you know this is difficult. This product is a negatively charged single molecule. Potassium usually has, potassium iodide is stabilized in a salt form. So there's more to it. This is just a single negatively electrically charged iodine, and I do not find it overstimulating any of my Hashimoto's patients. So this has been absolutely amazing. Now, iodine deficiencies also affect, especially women, men as well, but any glands, fibrocystic breast issues, fibroids in the uterus, PCOS. There's an insulin thing there as well, but there's also an iodine issue there. And so, and then, like I said, thyroid problems. So if you look around your patient base, and many people listening right now are going to go, hey, that's me. It's like, what are the symptoms of thyroid? It's like you're cold, you're constipated, your hair's falling out, you're depressed, your skin's getting thin, losing the lateral eyebrows. Those are all potential thyroid things. So iodine helps with that. And the connection that I made here with my own story. So my wife, with our 7th kid, he mentioned we got 7.
God bless you.
That's why I'm so tired right now. No,
God bless her.
My last child was born, and as you know, it's kind of hard to see if a kid's on the spectrum right away, right? So he turns 2, and you go, okay, we're maybe missing some milestones. He hits 3, he's not talking. And I'm doing all my other treatments. I'm doing laser light therapies, I'm adjusting, I'm doing other things. I realized the connection between iodine neurodevelopmental issues, and then mothers with thyroid problems. So now when a woman comes in with a child that's any neurodevelopmental issue, my first question is, what's your thyroid like, mom? And it's unbelievable how many times there's a connection there. So I gave Nation Iodine to my wife, and I gave Nation Iodine to my son, Josh. Now, he had just turned 4, and he's not speaking at all. And as a lot of these kids are, they're not incredibly affectionate either. You know, they don't like being hugged and cuddled, and they just don't like that sensory stuff, right? I give him iodine with methylene blue and our elixir, which if you want to know more, you can go to Forgotten Formula. And within a couple of weeks, he starts talking. He starts giving everybody hugs and kisses. And now when I come home, it's the sweetest thing. He's the first one to run to the door and be like, daddy, daddy, daddy. Gives me a big hug, gives me a kiss, and will literally cuddle up to me. And he would have never done that before. And my wife and all the other kids are like, what is going on? Right? He stands by the door when his little brother gets off the bus now. And so the iodine has made this, I mean, it's made such a difference in his brain development. I've consequently had tons of patients come in, similar story, boom, changes. They're coming back. He's talking, he's got more energy, he's excited. So the iodine has helped in all of those areas that I mentioned before, but those just personal to me. And my wife has not had antibodies for years now. So her thyroid has stabilized out a ton. Energy, mood, brain fog, all that stuff has stabilized with the iodine. So you can microdose it as well. So you can use just a tiny, like 1 drop. Any questions about the iodine there before I go into methylene blue?
No, I mean, the people are just probably figuring out and Googling how they can get it.
Well, like I said, we got a patent on it. That's hard to get. The electrical magnetic process that is used to make it is patented. So not a lot of people have it. In fact, if you do see Nation Iodine and they put it in a glycerin, it's not real Nation Iodine. It's got to be in an alcohol. It's got to be in an alcohol. Yeah. So the methylene blue this one is actually my favorite product of all the products I've ever taken. And you know this, Dr. Cohn. Yep. I've taken hundreds of products, hundreds. I don't know how many you've tried, but I mean, I've got hundreds in my closet right now. And I say this without exaggeration. I have never been happier with any product I've ever taken than methylene blue. This is one of our tester vials. It's called Mighty Blue.
Got it.
Methylene blue helps with mitochondrial function. I was at a seminar this weekend. We talked about it the whole entire weekend. You can basically whittle down just about any chronic illness issue down to the mitochondria's inability to make energy. If you cannot, and if you're not familiar with what the mitochondria are, they are the cell powerhouse. They're the battery in the cell, if you will. And if you can't make energy, the cell literally can't do its job, whatever that job is. If it's in the brain, it can't make neurotransmitters. If it's in your liver, you're not detoxifying. You get the picture. So methylene blue was the original anti-malaria drug. And it's been around for a long time. So when we say forgotten formulas, this is not new. It's been around since the 1800s. We've recently figured out, though, what it does to the oxygen transport in your brain and at that cell membrane. And when you kick this on, energy production kicks on. So people come in and say, wow, energy's better. Mental focus. They got studies with rats. They give them methylene blue and they can bust through that maze and find their food faster. Immediate enhanced cognitive abilities. So this helps with some of the bad neurodegenerative stuff, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. It helps with depression. It's an MAO inhibitor. So one of the cool stories, probably the coolest story of methylene blue is I had a girl come in and she's bipolar and it's bad. When she swings, it's really bad. It's sad. She doesn't sleep for weeks. She's hallucinating. She's had to be institutionalized before. So when she gets this way, her parents start freaking out. I gave her 2 drops of methylene blue a day, some minerals, changed her diet a little bit, and she completely avoided her manic phase. Not only that, but her family said, she's like interacting. She's like wanting to work. She's talking with us. She's joking around. She didn't do that at all. And so massive changes. And you can look at the studies on methylene blue and bipolar, depression, anxiety, sleep. One of my worst insomnia patients had a massive change with methylene blue. It's antimicrobial, parasites, mold. Methylene blue is kind of almost like the snake oil of products right now. It seems almost a little too good to be true.
Well, mitochondria is the buzzword of the decade. and methylene blue seems to do most of the heavy lifting. And, you know, I definitely excited about what you're doing, the efficacy, because there's lots of different, maybe you can speak to this for a second, because a lot of people, oh, I ordered it on Amazon, or I ordered it from this place. And then different people are getting different results from different methylene blues. I know my wife, Dr. Christine, is testing them right now, different methylene blues. Why forgotten formulas? Why, what have you done? What have you looked through? What have you ruled out? And how did you go with this present version of methylene blue that you guys got?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, since you've been in the supplement world for a long time, the quality and just the processes that people use, especially for stuff that's thrown up on Amazon, I'm constantly cautioning people. I'm like, man, you got to be careful. You don't know where that's from. I mean, that stuff could be from any country in the world. How is it actually tested? You know, so ours is tested for purity, and it's got to be at a 1% solution. Okay, that's important. So the concentration of the product makes a big difference. So it's going to be purity and cleanliness, and then it's also just going to be that potency level. You can do, you can use methylene blue in a lot of ways, but most people only need just a few drops in some water orally. You don't want to put it in directly in your mouth. It'll literally stay in your mouth blue. And if you get it on your fingers, I mean, it even changes your urine. It might be a little green, little blue. But you definitely want to be careful not to get it everywhere. So there's definitely a difference in quality, for sure. And I'll make sure to send some to your wife to test out.
Oh, she's looking forward to it. She's in the background listening. So now I wanna leave some curiosity, but there's an elixir, which again, it's not that Dr. Clint doesn't want to talk as excitedly about the elixir as well, but for PMA reasons, it's better to have the full story. There's also an anti-parasitic that people may or may not have heard about that you just make it easier for them to get. So there's a lot of resources inside the PMA, which is ridiculously, I'm going to repeat it for you again. It's $10 for a lifetime membership. It's $10. It's really just there because there has to be an exchange I think, right? To make it
just to make it legal and binding and everything, we need an exchange. And so $10 lifetime membership. Absolutely. We would love to tell you more about the elixir. We'd love to tell you about some of our antiparasitics. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. But going into details of what it can actually do, we need to be behind the firewall of the PMA, so to speak. We also have connections with a university in Mexico.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, Dr. Cohn and I are talking about this. Unfortunately, to get freedom now, we end up having to leave the country. Some of the best doctors in the world, unfortunately, have literally left because they just can't do and say what they need to here. So people go down to Mexico all the time for treatments for super chronic illnesses, and that's where stem cells are really rocking. And if you know much about stem cell science, it is the forefront of regenerative medicine. So we have access to stem cells, exosomes, peptide therapies. You're going to hear a lot about this stuff. Once again, purity, quality, how these were developed, where they were sourced is a big deal. And so, but the results have been absolutely stunning. I would love to tell you more about these, but this connection we have down there is really great. It's actually official. We have an official agreement with them. So we have access to all the scientists at that university, all the PhDs down there. And so we work together. And so once again, testing products, nanotech, peptide creation, and then, like I said, stem cell stuff that's unbelievable. So members of the PMA have access to all of this stuff.
So probably the smartest $10 anyone's going to spend, and then it just opens up a whole world of things that you've literally for the last, I want to say 17 years of practice, but you've been at this long before you hit the ground license. I know that you've been in this field for a long time. So let's say at least a couple of decades of really sifting through things, not just for your patients, but your family, and also traveling around teaching and like the rest of us, BioStackers, seminar and training and conference junkie, if you will.
Yeah.
So I just always want to know what somebody's doing better and more efficient and faster and more cost effective and all of that. So what are some of the things that we have to look forward to? And guys, I know that, they're going to, oh, what about this? What about that? Ask them about this, tell them about that. We will have Dr. Clint back in other capacities, hopefully as a future presenter on our BioStacking summits in the future, as well as sharing other things and items as we go. We hope maybe the next time he's on a trip out of the country that he might do a little video tour for us of what he's down there, and then we will be able to showcase it for our BioStacking community so they can see, maybe I'll go to Mexico, but maybe I'll skip Cancun this time, and maybe I'll go to a real cool spot. It's also super pretty and beautiful and has cool things at it, but might be more of a health place to go.
We do have one video on Instagram right now of the raw space that we're going to be building out. Like the head professor kind of tours us around a little bit and says, this is where it's all going to be. But we will definitely put up more of the actual treatments and stuff happening down there.
And so where do they find you? I know we're going to post it in all our stuff, but where do they find you? They're like, okay, where do I send my $10? Like, what do they do?
Go to forgottenformula.com, and on the website right there, it's literally really easy. It just says join. You go in, follow the prompts, sign the agreement, you're in. Once you get in, then you have access to all of our information. And like I said, the stuff that we just really can't discuss here. And if you are going to a functional doc and he's not a member, tell him like, hey, doc, I want you to join. You need to check this out, because I got questions for you and I want you to tell me the truth. I want you to answer these for me. And so they need the protection as well. So, send your doc in. And like I said, follow us on Instagram, and we're throwing up information right now. We're fairly new, so we're still building out a lot of info, but we do have videos up there, and we do have training, and we do have seminars scheduled for doctors to come to, and educational models will be rolling out for anybody who's a member.
That is awesome. And I just don't know if we're doing it right now, but I think we will be giving away as a prize. So
yes. Yep, that'll be the giveaway.
Now I'm getting a message that we can do it now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Cohn, for having me on here. This was really fun. I hope this information was helpful for everybody. To wrap it up, with our giveaway, it looks like Judy Stahlkop won, and Dr. Cohn was speaking all sorts of praises about her. I have not personally met her. Sounds like she's awesome in Nampa, Idaho. I got an aunt that lives there. So you will be getting a free methylene blue, a nation iodine, and an elixir. Thanks, guys.